Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. As today we tie up some loose ends and head back to Dresden. The new DLC just dropped, so in theory we should be able to get it to trigger if we just pass a few days. Of course, we're likely to trigger a few other events while we're waiting, so we'll deal with those as well. I would like to at least get the new DLC started, though. That said, I went ahead and cleared out the rest of Baphomet's Shrine. Nothing much, a few containers with vendor trash and consumables. And the lore item we found really just kind of recaps what we already heard from Tetra, so I think we can just kind of skip past that. And yeah, at this point the only thing holding us back is waiting on our teleportal to recharge. Let's move up a bit, pass some time, and we'll get this show on the road. First things first, we'll hit the streets, catch up with Ember, see how her new friends are settling in. Thankfully, I think this was actually the last of our non-DLC companion quests for Act 3. So in theory, we shouldn't have too much to get through before the new guy shows up. Ember is bobbing her head and humming a tune. She greets you with a carefree, cheerful smile. Her wandering eyes linger on you for just a moment before darting off again into the distance. I see you've already gathered a crowd again. These people really seem to like your sermons. Are those sermons? I just tell people things. Simple things. Anyone can figure them out. People are much cleverer than me. But they listen to me and say thank you after. I probably just have a pretty voice. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is. So how are your new friends doing? You know, this cult did very bad things to them. They made them hurt and frighten each other and themselves, and then lied that they didn't have a way back. They convinced them the only choice for a sinner was to sin again. They're much better now, but still, their souls, inside they're like my hands, all burnt. Besides, simple city dwellers who weren't in the cult don't understand them at all. They say things to them. Maybe it's even fair, but it just makes everything worse. Some people don't want to believe they repented, as if they want them to go back to the demons. But some feel sorry for them. They ask questions and listen. Those conversations make them feel better, and others might listen and not fall for the same thing. You see how good it is that you didn't kill them? Thank you. You are quite welcome, Ember, and I hope they don't do anything to betray the trust you're putting in them. I really would like things to work out the way you seem to think they will. We'll go ahead and rest. We're not really hurting or anything, but I have no idea what to expect from the new stuff, so best to top off while we can.
You think it is a disgrace to be a Hell Knight. I think it is a disgrace to be anything else in this war. It is the only logical position.
But at what cost to your soul?
Alright guys, come on now. That argument is so 2 episodes ago. Let's check the table. Oh, right. Yeah, those are the ones we had Agaboya intercept. And we have an event. Restoration. Dresden was built long ago, and compared to modern fortifications, its construction is hopelessly obsolete. The officers wish to rebuild the fortress and are arguing over what should be done first. To reinforce the defenses, or to expand the streets, to make the quartermaster's job easier and expedite supply deliveries. Widening the streets grants a project that boosts our logistics XP, which I believe is one of the 2 Crusade stats we still have to max out. Oh yeah, look at that. That and military. Which, of course, is what the other one does. Doing neither grants bonus resources. And this one grants military and diplomacy XP. Plus a special project that recruits 10 Hell Knights, which honestly we don't really need. Now, glancing at our kingdom stats, it actually looks like military should already be at rank 5. Whereas logistics has a very, very visible gap between rank 4 and 5. So I think we're best off focusing on widening the streets first, building up our logistics. And then we should be able to cover the rest of that gap once we finish upgrading a couple of outposts. New decree. Hey, look at that. We did indeed max out military. Maybe from that battle we just had. The auto win from Agaboya's crew. Fantastic. So we definitely made the right choice with widening the streets. Nothing else going on, so let's advance the clock. Bastion expansion done. I'll get that taken care of off screen. And the branch of the last ash recovered. Lovely. Plus our war council is ready to meet. That should be the last war council meeting for Act 3. We'll get the street project going. And, of course, we'll get the other Bastion expansion going, too, once we free up that slot. And you know what? Let's do Attractive Impulse. We haven't actually read the lore on that item, though, so we'll do that before we actually start this project. Oh. And apparently we have to immediately decide what to do with the branch of the last ash. We can either turn it into a bardish or a heavy pick. Both +3. And while heavy picks are fantastic if you really build for them, with like a crit build, we're obviously not set up for that, so I guess we'll go bardish. That way we might at least get some use out of it. Might be a good fit for Soso. I don't think we've taken any glaive-specific feats for him yet. Actually, you know what? I do remember this item. I think it's keyed off intelligence. Yeah, I think I actually ended up using that for an off-the-wall alchemist build I did in one of my for fun runs. A bombs and bardish build. Worked out okay. Commander, I'm glad to report that the reorganization of our army is practically complete. It's time for a counterattack. Karamzada has used his magic to erect a citadel, Storm's Peak, to the south of Dresden to threaten us. We must destroy this fortress. But before we set out, I strongly advise that our officers are informed of the tactical approach we're going to follow on the battlefield from now on. Apart from good soldiers and generals, an army needs a doctrine that states how it intends to win future battles. I would support a cautious, balanced tactic of attrition, based on a defensive style of warfare. A decisive cavalry charge is the best tactic I know. The demons are bloodthirsty, but they're not too eager to die for their cause. If we were to daze them with a powerful strike and shake their confidence, they would choose running for their lives over a selfless stand. We cannot change the fact that our warriors lack the demon's individual might, but our discipline and chain of command are superior. The best way to use it is to maintain a tight formation. We move the foot soldiers up front, withstand the enemy's blow, then perform a quick and crushing counterattack. That is how the Taldan phalanx won their battles. That is how we will prevail as well. No matter what bright ideas the general has, no matter what strategies they may devise in advance, in battle, a soldier must know how to react. If I were in charge, I would give my officers freedom to act on their own initiative, instead of hammering particular tactics into their heads. And I think it's pretty obvious that's the one Vex is going with, but, what do we know about Karamzada's new stronghold? Storm's Peak is a mountain fortress built by the demon's unholy magic. Karamzada chose the location for his base of operations wisely. Not only is it well protected, it also provides convenient attack routes that threaten Dresden. The most vicious battle beasts are bred in the depths of the fortress, which has dungeons so vast they could hold an almost infinite number of captives. I take it you're not a fan of the harem-scarum strategy that Sox was just pitching the other day? No. To train the troops to follow a new tactic, we must drill it into their heads. Make them remember it better than their own names. If we try to teach our soldiers conflicting tactics, dissonance will inevitably ensue in the heat of battle. Alas, it is wiser to sacrifice a diversity of options in favor of uniformity of action. Right. Well, I'm pretty sure I already know which one I'm going with, but let's hear from the advisors. Everyone looks at you expectantly. So, Sela, cavalry charges, huh? It's risky, but there are no cowards in our ranks, are there? Fighting demons is a dangerous business in general, but in my experience, only a swift and daring cavalry attack can strike real fear into the heart of an enemy as reckless as demons. An army of knights betting everything on a cavalry strike. Yeah, the demons will be amazed at how varied and surprising our tactics are. And, Regil, you said something about the Taldan phalanx? First, a tight infantry formation advances forward. It secures a foothold that threatens the enemy's position, and awaits the inevitable attack. Upon meeting the first onslaught with a shield wall, the footmen dampen the momentum of the breakthrough, then, at the officer's command, launch their counter-offensive. After a short charge that tramples everything that stands in their way, a gaping breach appears in the enemy ranks, and the offensive turns into a rout. I'm not sure we can make full use of the practices of the Taldan military. Although the phalanx certainly shows outstanding results, Taldor's infantry trains in a fundamentally different way than our own. I'm afraid that blindly copying another nation's combat style won't yield us the benefits we seek. Greybor, you think we should just let the generals do whatever they want? This acquaintance of mine, my colleague, he used to serve as a corporal in the Malthuni army. At some point, they went out on a raid against Nermathi guerrilla warriors. They ran into an ambush, got shot to hell, and chased the enemy deep into the woods. Is it obvious yet that they were being baited? It was obvious to my acquaintance, too, so he tells his commanding officer, "Things are looking ugly. We've got to turn back." But the officer dug his heels in. Our orders were clear. Upon contact with a lightly armed opponent, we are to give chase and dispatch them. Upon contact with a superior force, we are to contain it by forcing a fight, then send for reinforcements. He recited that order to me word for word. He won't forget it till the day he dies. That's what the generals in the capital had decided, you see. Since the enemy has split their forces, we need to move in with large units and crush the weak bands one by one. Looks solid on paper, but when you're out in the woods in the middle of the night, not so much. Anyway, when they did get ambushed by an enemy force and contained it by forcing a fight, only my acquaintance and his squad made it out alive. He put 2 and 2 together and figured that no reinforcements were going to make it in time, so he tried to break through. They ran through the woods for 6 days with the enemy hot on their heels, but they survived. My acquaintance learned a lot from that battle, so he deserted immediately afterward to become an assassin. A much safer craft. The point is, no matter what we come up with, you never know how it's going to play out in an actual battle. And only those who are on the ground fighting can truly know the best thing to do. So I would trust your officers. I can't imagine your army is commanded by idiots. And give them free rein. Initiative is a dangerous weapon. There are situations where it can be useful. But in a large-scale battle, any display of free thinking, any leeway in interpreting orders, may disorganize the army and throw it into chaos. We should not be destroying the discipline of our troops with our own hands. Yeah, well, I think that went out the window the second we went with the new logistics plan. Captain Odan, you think we should just stay on the defensive? History knows of virtually no prominent generals who disregarded defensive combat doctrine. There are times when letting the enemies break their teeth upon your army's formation is more advantageous than going on the offensive yourself. Perseverance oftentimes bests valor. Seela snorts. You can't win a war by sitting on your hands, especially against an innumerable force of demons who keep pouring out of the abyss. We must strive for victory, live for it. That's the only way we'll ever put an end to them. Yeah, okay, well, interesting arguments, folks, but I think I've made up my mind. Your advisors nod respectfully in response to your words. Let's just double-check the effects real quick. Seela's thing grants our cavalry charge, plus speed, plus damage for 1 round, but with a -2 AC malice. Not really all that appealing, honestly, because we have very little in the way of cavalry, and our cavalry is generally so low power that there's not a lot of benefit to rushing them in like that. And then Regel's thing is actually very similar. He also grants charge, but only to infantry. And given that our main infantry are already glass cannons, that's probably not a great mix. The champions are effective, we just have to use them very carefully. And charge is not really compatible with that. Independence grants +2 initiative, very simple, but also potentially very effective. The faster our range units go, the faster they can thin out high-priority enemy targets. And Odin's suggestion just grants a +2 bonus versus disease and poison. Potentially useful, but also really kind of boring. So yeah. Based on the playstyle I've embraced thus far, we'll go with Greyboar's suggestion. I wouldn't have hired him if I didn't trust him. An army where the commanders don't try to force their so-called wisdom on their soldiers, and instead let them use their own heads. That's unheard of. Greyboar looks on contentedly as Captain Odan grinds his teeth. Well, I believe the Military Council has reached a decision on all the necessary reforms. All that's left is to put our army to the test. The Siege of Storm's Peak. This battle will show us the worth of all the work we've done. Captain Odan's voice quivers nervously on these last words. And for an instant, his mask of composure cracks. Seeing you take notice, he shoots you a look of warning that says, "Not now." Oh, interesting. So Captain Odan wants to talk. Okay. You know, it's funny, I was actually just saying that we needed to spend some time getting to know our advisors. Let's scout out Storm's Peak real quick. Odan mentioned it's down south. Oh, is that it? Huh, that's actually not that bad. And Agaboya's almost right on top of it. We could actually hit it right now, but let's go have a chat with Odan real quick. See what his deal is. I don't want to inadvertently derail whatever his personal quest might be by doing things out of order. Fortunately, as we saw last time, Odan is right outside. Captain Odan gives you a polite nod. What can I do for you, Commander? Odan, you seemed off during that meeting. Everything okay? Odan's face looks both fragile and rigid, as if it were made of glass. I was imagining the sacrifices this bloody assault will exact, thinking of the soldiers who would never go back to their homes, and remembering the day that changed me forever. That day at the end of autumn, when my warriors charged into the fire and became ashes in memory. The day for which I was named a hero, and whose guilt will haunt me until the day I die. That's rough. You want to talk about it, or...? Oh, I can describe it in great detail. I return there every night as I fall asleep. I remember how it sounded as the outpost was consumed by flames. I remember counting my soldiers after every attack, every bleeding wound of a gap that had opened in our ranks. How people threw themselves into the boiling river to escape the burning air. And naturally, I remember how it felt to be the last, to be the only one left. But I won't recount the specifics to you. This is my nightmare, and burdening my leader with it would be treasonous. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But why do you feel so guilty? Did you do something wrong? I could have done more. I could have saved at least someone. It's true, I didn't hide behind my comrades' backs, and the wounds I took in that battle nearly killed me. But still, I could have done more. What it comes down to is that it's just not fair that I survived when everyone who trusted me with their lives died. If there is justice in this world, my survival affronts it. Then why are you still here? Odan smirks bitterly. Because they called me a hero. I was so ashamed at that moment. I knew that they were the heroes, the ones who would never leave the outpost. Their heroism was my undeserved glory, and it was thrust onto my shoulders with all the weight of an order. I swore that I would carry my burden until I became worthy of my brothers and sisters in arms. I am guilty of receiving the glory that their valor made rightfully theirs. I see. Yeah, that is rough. But thanks for sharing. I'm a soldier. Soldiers aren't made for easy lives. Something subtle has changed in his expression, as if some unseen visor has been slid back over his face, marking the end of that moment of painful sincerity that arose between you. And I think we'll skip the rest of this for now. We'll chat him up later. Though I think he actually gave us a pretty good gist of what his character arc is like right there. That does make me wonder, though, if all of the advisors have special quest arcs. Kayomi, Stranglehold, Harbatten? Much in the same way that a lot of the other prominent NPCs around town do. Alright, let's knock out Storm's Peak. As long as we get initiative, it should be easy. Agaboya, you're up. Oh, crap. Okay, we very much did not win initiative. Sorcerers are almost out. Thank goodness I just reinforced them, or that whole stack would have been wiped. I mean, we will still win this. That was just way too close. Oh my goodness. Come on, dude. Okay, Infirmary's still good. We're still good. As long as no stacks get wiped, we should be okay. Yes, okay, we are good. We are good. A lot of casualties, but no permanent losses. Fantastic. Oh well, and I guess that's it. Journal got updated, but otherwise no narrative events. Interesting. Kind of an anticlimax after Odin's theatrics. Let's get some new projects going. Oh, right, we have to get a gander at the attractive impulse. Let's have a peek. I'm always down for more lore. Attractive Impulse. At the time when the Aslanti Empire was still savoring its golden age of might and glory, the name of Hecatrix was familiar to everyone in the city of Golden Gates. Hecatrix was the queen of courtesans and most beautiful of women. Her heart-winning power was so great that even kings and queens could not harm her. The cruelest assassins would prostrate themselves at her feet like loyal hounds. Impressed by her beauty and sensuality, the goddesses Shaelin and Calistria decided that she should be their priestess, and quarreled ferociously over her. Shrewd Hecatrix never was a chooser. She always wanted it all, so she praised each goddess in secret when her rival was not present. She was collecting all the blessings of Shaelin and Calistria in a beautiful gem, until one night the truth about her deception was revealed. Both goddesses were enraged by her betrayal, and while the kind Shaelin forgave the traitress, Calistria decided to destroy her. In the course of an unbridled, wine-fueled nocturnal orgy of debauchery, the queen of the courtesans was torn to pieces by a crowd driven mad with lust. No one paid any heed to Hecatrix for 200 years, until one day the sin-soaked soul of a succubus, with a magnificent scarlet gemstone on her bosom, awakened in the abyss. The gemstone was called the Attractive Impulse. The gem combined the passion and lust of the queen of courtesans with the blessings of two goddesses, which together forged a dangerous and alluring relic. Well, that is actually pretty cool, especially since, of course, Vex is a follower of Calistria. I really enjoy the little bits of fluff and lore they attach to a lot of these random relics. I do kind of wish they interwove with the other elements of the main story a bit better. Report. Storm's Peak, the stronghold of the fierce Karamzada, has been captured and destroyed to the ground. The mighty Baelor and his army will no longer be able to threaten Dresden from this location. Karamzada opted to avoid a fight, leaving the citadel in the last moments of the battle. But there's no doubt that he will attempt to avenge such an affront. Yeah, that tracks. Gods forbid any of these quests actually wrapping up in Act 3. Okay, let's advance the clock. 2 more days, I think. That should do it. Enchanting the branch of the last ash. We'll worry about that later. And nothing. Here we go. Are you in charge? A giant, muscular, red-bearded Kelid strides confidently into the hall. Then you're the man who will explain to me what the hag-blasted shambles is going on here. I'm sorry, who are you? I'm Ulbrig, chieftain of the Olesks, vassal to the Neverhome clan. Ring any bells? Odd, seeing as this is my ancestral land you're building your ugly fortresses on. These are our pastures you're marching your hordes of rust-clad roughnecks over and back again. Quite at home you've made yourselves. Alright, let's begin at the beginning. The Kelid frowns as he ruffles his mane of red hair with his fingers. So here's what happened. There I was on the edge of a forest, lying down for a nap. It was warm and the birds were singing, a joy of a day. Now if you ask me, I dozed off for only a minute. But then I woke up and what in the blazes do I see? Stone walls everywhere, scorched earth, twisted trees, horned oglins running about, and armored ruffians swinging blades at each other like crazy. And everybody's been telling me the same tale. Sargeras has been gone for 100 years. So was I asleep for 100 years or what? I mean, yeah, that is what it sounds like. Where are you coming from? Me? I was born here. My clan's lived here since the olden times. The Olesks, one of the founding clans of Sargeras. And yet, here I am, not recognizing the place I call home anymore. Okay, and, what exactly am I supposed to do about this? For starters, I want to figure out where I am and what's going on. And then, the Kelid clenches his fists. If this isn't all a dream, if some blasted monsters have really laid waste to my home, my Sargeras, it means I'm gonna fight them. You're the war chief of this place, right? Take me into your party. You won't regret it. Well, I'm afraid to say that what you've, said is probably true. I mean, I guess you've been asleep for 100 years. And in that time, the demons completely conquered your country. Say it 100 times if you like, but I still won't believe it. It can't be true. Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. It is. So you want to join up, get some revenge. I get that. What are you bringing to the table, exactly? This. The Kelid raises his hand and bends his fingers. Before your very eyes, they become longer. Long, sharp talons extend from the thick skin now covering them. I'm a shifter. I can tear an enemy into shreds, and I don't need a weapon. You could use a fighter like me, couldn't you? I will admit that is slightly unusual. But sure, yeah, why not? We've got a fresh opening in our companion roster, might as well fill it. Hopefully you fare better than the last gal did. Ulbrig lowers his head and says solemnly, My blade and my life are yours, War Chief. He looks up at you with a friendly chuckle. I mean, it's not like I need a blade. My talons will make short work of our enemies, and then I'll finish them off with my beak. But saying it like that is the done thing. My talons and beak are yours, just doesn't have the same ring to it. Yeah, it's the companion clause, I get it. There's something else, War Chief. I can see things are bad, but the tales of all of Sargeras burning down and its people dying out? I'm sorry, I don't believe those. It can't be true. We're not the kind of folks to be snuffed out just like that. I have kin in a village not far from here. Current Glen. Let's go there and talk to them, have them fill us in. They're smart folks. Perhaps they'll help us in battle, too. Together we'll clean up Sargeras before you can say, Aroint, ye foul creatures! Ulbrig bumps his fist into his palm with a chuckle of bravado. All right, I'll go look for a place to stay for the night. Just let me know as soon as you're ready to go on a raid. Sounds good, buddy. I'll catch up with you momentarily. Oh, hello, who are you? An old half-elf woman bows to you. She is stately despite her years, with gray strands in her carefully combed hair and a graceful figure. Ria Neath, representative of the Veritable & Co. trading house in Nerosian, at your service. The woman hands you a business card printed on expensive paper with gold lettering. I have a formal offer for the merchants of Dresden regarding the procurement of construction materials. And a more personal matter which, I'm afraid, only you can help me with. What, do you need my permission to trade here, or what's going on here? Yes, for a while. I have product samples of what our trading house has to offer. If you need something, you will easily find me in the fortress. But, to be honest, I can discuss supplies with your subordinates. Right, yeah, I figured. That's usually how it works. So, what do you need from me? Ria looks around. I would prefer not to talk about it here. Please, find me in the fortress. Then we'll talk. Fair enough, yeah, sure. I'll finish up my business here and track you down shortly. Ria bows again. Thank you. Oh my goodness, okay, who are you? Knight Commander? The young Knight Klaem drops to one knee before you. He has noticeably matured since your previous meeting in the Blackwing Library, where you saved him from being burned alive. But his sharp gaze, aristocratic features, and soft voice are just as you remembered. By order of Her Majesty Queen Galfrey, the Order of the Flaming Lance has come to be of service to you. Right, yeah, I remember you guys. You did the spells and whatnot. Yes, our order devotes itself to mystical research and the pursuit of secret knowledge. We spend just as much time on spells as we do on prayers and weapon drills. At the end of the day, our enemy is not of this world, which means that to fight it, we need knowledge that is not of this world either. So wow, you're in charge now, huh? You've got your own order and everything. Klaem nods sadly. Alas, yes, our former leader, Sister Miamir, disappeared from Canabris not long before the demons attacked. She is considered missing, but almost everyone believes that she has perished. He holds out a leaflet to you. A portrait of a stern-looking half-elf woman printed on gray paper. This is Sister Miamir. If by chance you should find her alive, or... The knight's voice falters. If you learn anything about her fate, our order and I personally would be eternally grateful to you. It's not immediately apparent, but you do recognize the face in the picture. It's the madwoman that you saw by the petrified tree near Wintersun. Hey, wait, I do know this gal. Yeah, I ran into her near Wintersun on a cliff next to a big stone tree. That was Miramir? A petrified tree? But of course. In Canabris, she was reading a history of the petrified library. I feared that she had gone to the stone wilds. But if one of those trees is here... Oh, Inheritor, that means she's in grave danger. Commander, do you know the history of these trees? They were enchanted by druids from old Sarkaris to guard knowledge hidden within them. The druids resorted to using an unholy rite to turn the trees to stone, and themselves into Shiebris, undead whose hatred for all living creatures almost equals their hatred for demons. I can't waste any time. I'm going to help Sister Miamir. Will you accompany me? Shiebris are extremely dangerous, but if she's still alive, we may have a chance to save her. Oh, didn't even bother waiting for me to respond. Fair enough. Man, so we suddenly have no shortage of things to do. I really thought we were getting towards the end of Act 3. And now we're sitting here on a stack of 5 more quests? I mean, to be fair, one of them is obviously the DLC thing, which we're going to focus on first, but my goodness. Guess we've still got a bit of a ways to go. Alright, let's check the table real quick. Okay, looks clear. 3 days out on the Relic project. We should be pretty much done with the army management stuff for now. Okay, let's get a gander at our new companion. An awakening in charred ruins. Everyone knows about the unfortunate fate that befell Sargeras. Everyone except this mountain of a man who apparently slept through the last 100 years. He knows nothing about any world wound and refuses to believe that his home is gone. He was happy to join the Crusaders, without yet realizing the scale of this war, or what is at stake. Ulbrig, level 4, neutral good, human, Griffin Heart Shifter. The proud and fearless griffin is a creature dedicated to protecting its territory. These regal beasts are revered as symbols of freedom and strength in many cultures. Looks like a pretty decent stat array. Solid strength. Decent dex. Pretty basic starter gear. Swarmbane Clasp. An ancient fossilized insect lies trapped within this ornate amber clasp, impaled by the long golden pin that fastens the wearer's cloak. The wearer's weapons, unarmed attacks, and natural attacks deal full damage to swarms, regardless of the swarm's immunity to weapon damage, if any, although damage reduction applies as normal. If the wearer is damaged by a swarm, they automatically succeed on their savings throw against the swarm's distraction ability. It is a shame that takes the next slot, because that means we can't use things like Amulets of Mighty Fists. The fact that they specifically gave him an anti-swarm weapon, though, that seems pretty telling. I imagine Xanthir Vang will fit into this somehow. Though obviously it's a bit late for Vang to really do much of anything. He is... Well, no, I guess he's not actually dead, is he? He's still hanging around in the abyss somewhere. Just waiting on pins and needles for someone to come looking for him. Wait, no, that doesn't add up. We should have gained AC on that, but we stayed the same. Okay, clearly I need to familiarize myself with the ins and outs of this class before I really go mucking with it. Which is fine, because we're pretty much hitting time here. And I did accomplish my goal, which was to make sure we actually got into this thing. That way we can jump right into the meat of his quest next time around. Just gotta figure out how he works first. And of course get him leveled and equipped properly for level 14 adventures. I am a little concerned, though, that he came in at level 4, which really does imply his original character introduction was supposed to be all the way back in Act 1. So I hope we don't miss any prominent story beats there, since obviously we're tagging him into a campaign that's already in progress. That said, we are at time, and man, this has been a very busy episode. No real combat to speak of, aside from the Storm's Peak thing, but, man, we've suddenly got like a half dozen different things going on, so yeah, we'll hit the pause button for now. We'll try to get this all sorted out, prioritize which ones we'll focus on first. DLC, obviously. And I'll get Ulbrig prepped for what is to come. And we will pick up here next time, as we go check out that mysterious village, and I'm sure find out how Vang or maybe just the Vescivores fit into all this. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Dragon Matrix 7, Mathew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Drakiith, RobbyB23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
It is the only logical position.